Today, we're diving into one of the most underrated bands in rock history and uncovering what happened to the Moody Blues. The Moody Blues started in Birmingham, England in 1964, a time when British rock was booming. The original lineup included Denny Laine on vocals and guitar, Mike Pinder on keys, Ray Thomas on flute and vocals, Graham Edge on drums, and Clint Warwick on bass. Their early sound, rhythm and blues, more in line with the Animals than the cosmic soundscapes they'd later become known for. During their first year together, as well as playing their own shows and making their own records, the Moodies, as they were often nicknamed by fans and the band themselves, also provided backing for various blues performers touring England, including Sonny Boy Williamson and Memphis Slim. Their debut single, Go Now, released in 1964, was a chart topper in the UK and a top 10 hit in the US. For a moment, it looked like they'd ride the British invasion wave. In June 1965, the Moodies were due to set out on their first tour of America as a support band to the Kinks, but they were forced to pull out after they were unable to secure proper work permits. In July 1965, the band released their first album, The Magnificent Moodies. They were still in demand for live gigs, though, including several shows opening for the Rolling Stones on their autumn 1965 British tour, alongside fellow Birmingham band, the Spencer Davis Group. In early December 1965, the Moody Blues were the support band for the Beatles on what would ultimately be the Beatles' last British tour. A further single, Life's Not Life, was issued in January 1967, but that early version of the band fractured. In July 1966, Warwick retired from the group and the music business. After unsuccessful attempts to recruit Klaus Voormann, who took up a simultaneous offer to join Manfred Mann instead, and The Who's John Entwistle, the band hired Rod Clark as Warwick's replacement on bass. Denny Laine left, eventually joining Wings with Paul McCartney, and in came Justin Hayward on guitar and vocals and John Lodge on bass. This new lineup didn't just shift the band's personnel, it shifted their identity. With Hayward and Lodge on board, the Moody Blues transformed. They were no longer just a blues band. They became explorers of sound, philosophy, and poetry. In 1967, they released Days of Future Past. This wasn't just a rock album, it was a concept album fused with orchestral arrangements and groundbreaking use of the mellotron, an early keyboard sampler. From that album came Nights in White Satin, a sweeping, romantic, and haunting anthem that would become their signature track. Though it didn't chart highly at first, it would later return and become a worldwide hit. In the US, Tuesday Afternoon was also released as a single and was more successful on initial release, peaking at number 24 on the Billboard Hot 100. This marked the beginning of the Core 7 albums, a streak of progressive rock classics including In Search of the Lost Chord in 1968, On the Threshold of a Dream in 1969, To Our Children's Children's Children in 1969, A Question of Balance in 1970, Every Good Boy Deserves Favor in 1971. This was one of the Moody's most experimental albums. The opening track, Procession, depicted the evolution of music, leading into Hayward's The Story in Your Eyes, which was released as a single in the US where it reached number 23. Seventh Sojourn was released in 1972. Lodge's songs Isn't Life Strange and I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band were lifted as singles from this album, both reaching the top 40 in the UK and US. Each album blended spiritual searching, philosophical musings, and futuristic sounds. The Moody Blues weren't just writing songs, they were creating sonic journeys. But even the most celestial voyages must touch ground. By 1974, After years of constant touring and recording, the band went on hiatus. Later that year, the band oversaw the preparation of a compilation album, This Is the Moody Blues, which was released in October 1974. Members released solo albums, and for a while it seemed like Seventh Sojourn might be their final chapter. Hayward and Lodge released a duo album, The Successful Blue Jays, in 1975, followed by a UK number 8 charting non-album single, Blue Guitar, featuring 10cc as the backing band. Thomas released 2 solo albums, both written in collaboration with songwriter Nicky James, From Mighty Oaks in 1975 and Hopes, Wishes, and Dreams in 1976. In 1976, Hayward recorded Forever Autumn for Jeff Wayne's musical version of The War of the Worlds at London's Advision Studios. Following a successful UK tour as a duo, backed by some of the members of Providence, Hayward and Lodge both released solo albums in 1977. Hayward released Songwriter and Lodge released Natural Avenue. Decca in the UK and London in the US released Caught Live plus 5 in 1977, a double album with 3 sides of a December 1969 live recording from the Royal Albert Hall and 1 side of 5 leftover studio tracks from the late 1960s. Then, in 1978, the Moody Blues returned with Octave, an album that lacked the full magic of their earlier work, but showed they weren't done yet. The album sold well and produced 2 minor hits in Steppin' in a Slide Zone, number 39 in the US, and Driftwood, number 59 in the US. Mike Pinder, a key creative force, left during this time, replaced by Swiss keyboardist Patrick Moraz, formerly of Yes. With Moraz, the band released Long Distance Voyager in 1981, a commercial success that introduced them to a new generation. Songs like The Voice and Gemini Dream fit perfectly into early 80s radio. Lodge's Talking Out of Turn also charted in the US, reaching number 65. They were no longer the cosmic voyagers of the late 60s. They were elder statesmen adapting to a synth-driven world. The Moody Blues continued releasing albums through the 80s and 90s, including the present in 1983. Was less successful than its predecessor, though it spawned a UK Top 40 hit in Blue World and a US Top 40 hit in Sitting at the Wheel. The Other Side of Life was released in 1986. They enjoyed renewed success with the track Your Wildest Dreams, a US Top 10 hit and number 1 on Billboard's Adult Contemporary Singles chart for 2 weeks. They released Sur la Mer in 1988. That album contained the single and video, I Know You're Out There Somewhere, which reached number 30 US charts, number 52 UK charts, and number 2 US mainstream rock charts, a sequel to Your Wildest Dreams. Though these albums leaned more into pop, Justin Hayward's voice and songwriting kept the heart of the band beating. Keys of the Kingdom, released in 1991, had modest commercial success, peaking at number 54 on the UK albums chart. Once again, Hayward's songs led off the album with the new single, Say It With Love. The group remained a steady concert draw, and the album and video of their 1992 Night at Red Rocks concert enjoyed great success, particularly as a fundraiser for public television in the US, where it had been first broadcast. 1994 saw the release of the band's retrospective box set Time Traveler. By the late 90s and early 2000s, their recording pace slowed, but they remained a popular live act. Their stage shows were often accompanied by symphony orchestras, a fitting nod to their roots. In 2000, they released Hall of Fame, a new live album from a concert at the Royal Albert Hall with the World Festival Orchestra, with a concurrent DVD release. In 2002, Ray Thomas retired, and sadly, he passed away in 2018. Toward the end of 2003, they released a Christmas album, December, Clint Warwick, the Moody Blues original bassist, died on May 2004 at the age of 63. November 2005 brought a new live album and DVD, Lovely to See You. Live, recorded and filmed at the Greek Theater in Los Angeles on the 11th of June that year. On May 2007, the Moody's released a double CD of BBC radio sessions titled At the BBC 1967 to 1970. That same year, the Moody Blues were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, a long overdue recognition for a band that helped pioneer the concept album, progressive rock, and symphonic experimentation. In 2007, the now defunct Hard Rock Park theme park in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, announced the building of a dark ride entitled Nights in White Satin: The Trip. In March 2009, the ride closed because of the conversion of the park to the Freestyle Music Park, with the new owners desiring to make the park more family-friendly. So, what happened to the Moody Blues? As of today, the band is no longer active. Their final tour wrapped up in 2018. Graeme Edge, the band's drummer and poet, passed away in 2021, effectively closing the book on the Moody Blues as a functioning group. Denny Lane, the Moody Blues original singer and guitarist, died on December 5th, 2023, at the age of 79. Mike Pinder, the last surviving original member of the band, died on April 2024 at the age of 82. Rod Clark, the Moody Blues bassist for a brief period in 1966, died on March 2025. Justin Hayward, the iconic voice behind so many of their hits, still tours and releases solo music. His voice remains hauntingly beautiful, and his fans remain loyal. John Lodge also tours as a solo act, often performing Moody Blues classics. In fact, in recent years, he's been touring with the Days of Future Past theme, keeping the spirit of the band alive. The Moody Blues never chased the spotlight. They weren't flashy. They didn't start scandals. They weren't tabloid material. Instead, they gave us poetry set to music. They gave us philosophy in stereo. They invited us to search, to dream, to listen. Their albums didn't just fill your ears, they stirred your soul.